but individual units rather than a whole en masse falling. So that little bridge over there underneath the road, I don't know if you can see it, that's where we're headed. The Ridgeway here, you can't drive down it, but the Ridgeway is, well, I don't know an awful lot about it, but and the history of it, but I suppose it's there to be looked up on Wikipedia for those who are interested. I probably will do that only afterwards. It's a walk, anyway, it's a public footpath. It's a restricted bridleway at this point, but it's an unrestricted one, so you could ride your horse down it at other parts, and you can certainly walk down it at any point. But that's not to say it's fit for walking down unless you've got Wellingtons on. So I came down here the other day expecting to see like a nice little asphalted path being the Ridgeway, but that's not the case, as you will see in a minute, unless I interrupt with my conference call. So here we are. This muddy puddle marks coming onto the Ridgeway, but it's not the only one. I'll show you. These dogs are going to get dirty. This is very clayey at this point. Actually, the pulling of the dog actually helps me get up to the marker. So you've got Ridgeway and Ridgeway restricted byway. What that means, I'm not quite sure. Looping them back down that way, and somebody's lost their Quigley here. So if you should see that, get in contact with them on that number. Otherwise don't, please. Let's have a look and see what the information here is. If you read this, because it was normal business shoes, they're pretty jolly covered in mud anyway. So let's have a look and see what it's got to say for itself. Watlington Tithing Hill, the Ridgeway National Trail. The Ridgeway is one of 15 national trails in the country. These long distance routes pass through the most stunning landscapes, providing the best walking and in some cases cycling horse riding opportunities in Britain. So you've got wildlife, you've got the red kite up as always, the local thingy, you've got woodland, you've got the site of a Neolithic barrow on Whiteleaf Hill. So the Ridgeway can be enjoyed on a short stroll or on a longer walk or ride around the many circular routes along the trail, or on a hike of its full length, usually taking about 6 days. Landscape, this section of the Ridgeway is within the Chilterns area of outstanding natural beauty, with its steep escarpment, rolling hills swathed in beech woods and secluded valleys, all shaped by the underlying chalk. Woodlands are the dominant feature of the area and are splendid in spring. Well, unfortunately it's not spring, when carpeted with bluebells. You can imagine the bluebells. Beautiful clear chalk streams flow through a number of valleys. Prehistory. People already settled here in the New Stone Age or Neolithic about 6,000 years ago, and one of their burial sites still survives on Whiteleaf Hill. The hill fort surviving Hoe Beacon, where the Ridgeway ends, and those on Pulpit and Boddington Hills and at Cholesbury were built more recently during the Iron Age, the few hundred years before the Romans arrived in 43 AD. It's likely too that the section of Grimsditch on Pitstone Hill was dug as a boundary between tribes during the same period. So there you go. The Ridgeway is managed by a small team of staff helped by many local volunteers whose work... All right, don't yourself upset. You put your own paw on that. Whose work is mostly funded by the Natural England and local highway authorities. For further information, visit National Trail, www.nationaltrail.co.uk, Ridgeway, or call such and such a number to report illegal vehicles using the Ridgeway. Call 0845, etc. So, wildlife. There are pockets of unimproved chalk grassland found along the Ridgeway, usually on steep, scarp slopes, including at all nature reserves and National Trust countryside sites shown on the map. Traditionally grazed by sheep and rabbits, these areas are home to a wide array of wild flowers, including several species of orchids, rare butterflies and farmland birds such as skylark, corn bunting and yellow hammer. The magnificent bird of prey, the red kite, reintroduced to this area in the late 1980s, is now commonly seen. So commonly seen that all you need to do is point your camera at the sky and there's going to be one up there somewhere. And of course, irony of ironies, this is probably the only point in the whole of my visit where I haven't actually seen it. Still, there's no map there, is there? Or is there on the other side? Maybe there's a map on the other side telling you what's around. Yeah, there is. So, interestingly enough, it goes by Chequers. This is not so far. That's Chequers, where the Prime Minister's house is, made famous, of course, by the Ali G film. Lucan's down there. So if I go up in that direction towards Aston Row and I'm actually going towards Chequers, I wouldn't get that far. I mean, obviously it would be like a 10-mile walk. It's 15 kilometres just to get there. And then coming back would be too much for one day. I think in Wellington boots it's not so good. But it shows you who can use it at different points, you see. So the bit where we are now, which is by Lucan, you are here, you're allowed to use it if you're a person, a horse, a bicycle, or a person being pulled along in a cart by a horse. Yeah? But on the other side of the A40, which is on the other side of the M40. The M40 is okay. On the other side of the M40 is still okay, but on the other side of the A40, if I were to get that far, you're not allowed to go on it with if you're being pulled along by a horse in a little trap. But you still can go on it. This is blue. If you've just got a horse and you're on top of it, or if you're on a bike, or if you're walking or running, I expect. So the whole thing goes from Ivinghoe Beacon at the end, which is not far from Hemel Hempstead, right the way down to Overton Hill near Marlborough. So there you go, that's Marlborough country, as it used to say on the cigarette adverts. So there you go, and it follows along the bottom really of the Chilterns at this point, but then later it wouldn't be, it would be further along than where the Chilterns are. So this is Chilterns still, Chilterns terrain, but later it goes all the way down to the southwest of England, where you kind of talk like that. And yeah, interesting. So White Mark is a thing. Bledlow Cross is an old historic feature, or an Iron Age fort at Pulp Hill, Boddington Hill, Grimstitch is up there. Ashridge Estate is near it as well, which is right next to Hemel Hempstead. It goes really near Hemel Hempstead there. At the top end, at the bottom end it goes, well, places I've never been and have no particular desire to go. So let's set off. Along this bit then. Where are you trying to take me? I don't know. I'll wait until it gets interesting and then I'll put it on again. How about that?